Once I've made the basic drawing of the part of the plant that I'm going to do, I've also done some sketches of the just very rough sketches of the berries because I want to work out all my colours first, and that's the starting point really. Once the drawing's in, is to try and work out all the colours. So I usually work at one side of the page or a relevant area, and you can probably see that I've already put some colours onto the palette. I've got tube paints. There's a variety of different brands here. That's called Azo Yellow, which is much similar to transparent yellow in Winsor & Newton. Quin Red, Perylene Maroon, Cobalt Violet, which is a Winsor & Newton one, which is more pink than the M. Graham one, and Cerulean Blue. And I've also got a palette here of pans, of Winsor & Newton pans as well, that I might dip into. But I've picked out those colours as the basic ones to start with the fruits anyway, not the leaves. But, and that's what I'm going to do some tests on first. So I start, as I say, with the main colours that I believe I'm going to use, which may change, and make a note of the three. In this case, there's three, and I may, as I say, I may change them. I usually use the colour sort of fairly full strength, and then just fade it out to see how well it fades out with water. And then I make a note of the colours that I'm using, the basic colours for the fruits. As I say, I may change them because I've also got my half an eye on Scarlet Lake, Winsor & Newton Scarlet Lake, which is an alternative red. So I'm going to make a colour sample of that, and I think that might actually be a better choice. It's one of my favourites, actually. And you can see it's a warmer red than the Quin Red. So once I've done that, I start to try some mixes, because the fruits are varied in colour. They vary from quite a yellowy red, yellow biased red. There's one actually with some green in it, and then there's some really quite dark ones as well. As they get older, they get darker. So I'm going to try a variety of different mixes. As I say, I make a note, always make a note, and I just use the initials because I'm familiar enough with the colours. I put PM for Perylene Maroon and which brand it is, just initials of which brand. So that's my basics, and then I know exactly what I've used when I come back to it later. And then I start to mix them. And there's quite an orangey red, so I've mixed actually I'm preferring the look of this to the Quin Red, so I'm mixing the Scarlet Lake with the Azo Yellow. And you can make that more red biased or more yellow biased. It's a more red version. And that's a more yellow version. So what I do there is make a note of which two colours are in the mix. So it's Scarlet Lake plus Azo Yellow, and I'll put a plus this side and a plus that side for the, so to show that it's got more Scarlet Lake or more Azo Yellow in it. I'm going to add a bit of the Perylene Maroon, the darker sort of browner reds. Once I think I've got roughly the right colours, I'll start to try the fruits out. So as I say, I'm going to work out the colours on the fruits. You can see I've already started one there with a wash. I'll work on this one. The light's coming from sort of front and that side. So I actually wet it first, leaving the highlight clear. I generally find there's some reflected light on the shade side, so I tend to use a bit of cobalt violet for that underneath. Put that in first. And around the highlight I sometimes use some cerulean blue. Drop that in as well. Another one here, so I'm going to try one of the darker ones. Always make sure when you are drawing any flower or fruit, where the stem is, that it runs through you can see a sort of invisible line that runs through right to where the pistil would be. Like so, so you know that that's got to be in the centre, sort of there. Otherwise you get misalignment. I've got a choice really on whether I let that dry or whether I carry on working on it. What I can work on it while it's still wet. What I tend to do is drop in a sort of warmer spot in the centre. When it's dry, I'll remove some of the pencil because I've still got pencil around. And basically what I'm trying to do is model some form. And being careful not to paint over the highlights. It's just cobalt violet around that bottom edge. And what that does is give you a softer edge, makes it look like it's almost disappearing, fading away into the distance. And it's to give the effect of form, so you've got denser colour here and on the form shadow, and then it's lighter on the reflected light edge. Just strengthen it a little bit. So you'd let them dry in between coats. Using the Perylene Maroon on the stalks as well, with a small amount of cobalt violet on top of it. That's what I'm going to put. And I'll darken it with some neutral tint. It's got tiny spines on it as well, but if you look at them, they're quite light. They're not as dark as the stem. Always work away from the stem so that you've got a tapered edge. I'll turn the book round to do the others on the other side, it's easier. So I'll wait for those to dry and then do a bit more work on them, and then work on the different colours from the darker and the lighter ones.